Guess who's back? Okay, we're back. My camera died, and I started editing the part we just finished, and guess what? Every 20 minutes, my camera cuts out. Huh, isn't that something? So from now on, every 20 minutes, I'll know to pause so that that cut doesn't happen. You only lose about 2 or 3 seconds, but I was talking pretty fast in most of those clips, so here we go. Where were we? Okay, last part. We talked about how Kaido had escaped Travis trap. He had escaped and he'd woken back in the carriage. And he found the letter from Lord Geo. Okay, so Lord Geo says, thanks Kaido for looking after Clara. He's like, thank you for looking after Clara. And also then says, he makes a whole note of apologizing about taking away Akane. He says, I'm really sorry for robbing your childhood of having an older sister. I'm sorry if that mentally affected you. He then extends a welcome to Kaido. He says, Kaido, if you'd like, you can come live here with Demon Brand. You are welcome. We will let you come live with us. But. He then immediately also says, I know what kind of person you are. You're not the kind of person who want that. So, no. But, nevertheless, he'll then come again. He also includes, minus those 2 cards he'd taken from Clara, he also hands over Wish Card 189 Time Seal, which is a card that when activated, seals the user into an object for 10 years. So, Kaido has that. And Kaido will plan to do something with that. He's got it now. He's conflicted. He just woke up. So, okay, now we are back at where we left off with Terra. Okay, Terra wakes and she's in Venus's bed still. She decides she's gonna carefully try to get up to get out of bed. Here comes a new character. Get this ready. She's getting out of bed, trying not to wake Venus when she steps off the bed and hops directly onto someone. And there, lying on the ground, is Sarki, shark-like blonde girl, blue-haired girl, who is sleeping beside the bed for some reason. They're like, the Terra screaming wakes up Venus. Venus is like, Sarki, what are you doing in my room? You're banned from my room. Sarki says that she felt left out, not being invited to the sleepover. And so, she invited herself. Okay. Now, Sarki introduced herself. Her name is Sarki, and she's one half of Team Twisted, a nickname for Team, here we go, her partner, Team Cordelica. Okay. Crazy name. Cordelica. So, Sarki calls Team Cordelica Team Twisted. And that immediately catches Terra's eye. She's like, why do you call Team Twisted? Everyone else calls their team by the team leader. And she explains that she and Cordelica have come up with better names for each of the teams. And we'll go over them first. First, you have Team Loner Boss, which is just Jiro. Okay. Then you got Team 2, the Problem Squad, and that is Toshi, Akane, Riki. Then Team 3 is the Outcast, which would be Karma and Morana. And then Team 4 is Team Pleiades, which would have been Venus and the Dead Maddie. And then Team 5, Team Twisted, Cordelica, Sarki. That's her explanation for better names for the teams. Okay, so while she's here, Terra's like, hey, Sarki knows the information, I'm gonna ask. She wants to know why, first she wants to know why Venus doesn't like Sarki, despite them being girls close in age. You know, 2 girls, young girls, close in age. Sarki says, it's because Venus is jealous of my superiority, I'm better than her, and I'm also stronger than her. She explains, you know, her and Cordelica are like experts on the usages of Demon Brands, and we don't need to go into all the ideas Sarki shares about better ways to use the Demon Brand, but she does say that Demon Brands have a thing. She explains this thing called the lineage trait, which is that when they find Maddie's replacement will be just as compatible with Venus as Maddie was, because of something called the lineage trait, which is that these cards search out people of a type. They have the same core type. And then she also goes on to explain she thinks Maddie's core trait would have been pride. Sarki has this idea, but the deadly sins and attributing them to people. She thinks it's the sin inside you, which is what the demon brands are attracted to, which going to the demon theme could make sense. Venus says it's stupid. We'll talk about later what Sarki's are. Sarki makes a joke that Venus must be sloth because she sleeps all the time. Her ability is sleeping. Maybe. Anyway, Venus is upset. Venus hits her with a pillow. Sarky then seemingly coughs up a pillow from her mouth, and we'll get into that later, and then fires one back. This starts a pillow fight between Venus and Sarky. Venus uses the pillow to sneak attack and bites Sarky in the neck, putting her to sleep. Her activates her ability, she's asleep. Then, a couple seconds later, tired, baggy-eyed man, Corydelica, who has to be Corydelica, appears and apologizes for Sarky being so crazy, and leaves. Quick introduction out. Then Venus identifies that that was Corydelica. Also makes a note, Sarky and Corydelica, those are the two people who skipped Maddie's funeral. And it says they're kind of jerks, and they hang off on their own, and they're wild cards. Team Twisted, kind of weird. Okay, but she also says Team Twisted ranks first in power. So, before I said, Karna, considered one of the strongest, she's one of the strongest, but Sarky and Corydelica, as a pair, are considered the strongest. That is when Venus decides she's going to go on a tirade about the history. So we get a little history. So she says, it was about a year before she joined, there was a huge battle which killed 5 of the 10 demon brand, which is half of them. That's a crazy number. And the survivors of that battle would be Lord Jiro, Toshi, Karna, Corydelica, and the previous user of the demon brand Stomach Storage, which is what Sarky's brand is, but it's the previous user who came before Sarky. And they explain that this would be the battle that ended, that would be the great battle of Jewel. So that's the last battle, the one that like, a big thing happened, and Lord Jiro would step up as the new lord, and there'd be a stalemate. So after that, there was a parade. There was a parade marching around the capital of Akamizushimiya. And during this parade, out of nowhere, a little girl with a rusty knife came up and attacked the previous user of Stomach Storage. This would be Sarky, of course. Sarky appears, and she begins eating the previous user of Stomach Storage. And Venus starts getting shaken, talking about this day. She doesn't want to go any further, but she does say, that's what happened. Sarky got her brand because she ate the previous person who was using it. So that's kind of crazy. But in a couple minutes, probably 20, we'll get to another character looking back on this moment. When we get to Corydelica's interpretation of what happened during that day and his view of how amazing that day was versus Venus's trauma thinking about just the stories she heard about the day. Okay, next. After that, Tara gets summoned to see Jiro. And so she goes to see him. And, no, she isn't summoned, she decides she wants to see Jiro. My apologies. She goes to see Jiro and finds that he's actually currently in a meeting with Toshi, Morana, Karna, and Corydelica. The 4 of them are present with Lord Jiro, the 5 of them, in a meeting. And during this meeting, Lord Jiro invites her over, has her down, and says that he'd actually think she's pretty interesting. And so he says, you know what, Tara, if you like a demon brand, I give you permission to try to take one. Everyone at the table's glaring, because that means killing one of them, stealing one of their brands. And Tara understands that whatever she says next is going to literally be so important, because if she says any person's name at that table, or their partners, which every group is accounted for at that meeting, somebody's going to be mad. We skip back to Kaido. Kaido is still laying on in the carriage thinking. He's playing with wish card 1, his wish card that created Clara. And it's in his hand, and Anna and Alice out loud say, hey, that card created Clara, so therefore it should be able to summon her again. And he goes, I guess, and so he activates the card, it floats into the air, and a new girl appears. But this is not Clara, it is Mavis. It is a girl who looks eerily similar to Clara, but she has brown hair. She repeats about the same opening as Clara for her first moments, where she's confused, she doesn't know where she is, she's hungry, and she says that she doesn't remember who she is. Kaido's nervous, and does the whole, do you remember your name? She goes, no. Then Mavis suggests, what if I named myself Clara? Kaido shuts that down. He says, no, you are not. Come up with a different name. She comes up with Mavis. Her name's Mavis. After that, there's a new girl. Suddenly the carriage has to stop. And they stop because the village they're passing through says they cannot pass through. They say, you cannot come inside the village because right now there's a huge event happening in the town. And it's not a fun event, it is, there's a killer somewhere inside this town, and so the townspeople have locked off the town from the outside to keep the killer inside, so they can hunt him down. No one enters, no one leaves. And the town will announce once they find the killer. Now, Kaido and Lucas talk about it, and they agree that their two teams will work together, and the group is going to hunt the killer down. And they enter the town people want, and using Red Alice's sense of smell, because she still has her dog parts that allow her to smell super well, to a superhuman amount, they can sniff him out because he doesn't smell like the townspeople. So they gather everyone in the center, and Kaido makes a bone cage around the town square. So now they're all trapped inside the town square. And Alice immediately says she can smell him, that he's near, and is about to point them out when out of nowhere a bullet goes through her tiny head, blowing her head off. And her neck begins to bubble and reform. Because she's a red dog, she can reform, but at the moment she has no head. And this scares Mavis. Mavis does not know this, because she doesn't know anything about red dogs, or about any of this wish card stuff, because she just literally was born, basically. So Mavis screams, and her eyes begin to start glowing red, activating whatever had happened at the tournament hall with Clara. Mavis is going into that state. So obviously, this state, whatever this thing is that Clara had, is related to being summoned by wish card 1. So Anna sees the red glowing eyes and immediately is paralyzed, because these are the same eyes that glared at her when her sister Ella was killed. So she's frozen. But Mavis immediately pounces into the crowd and throws a man on the stage, a gun falling from him. So Kaido closes the stage with bones as the townspeople scram. This is the killer. She's found him. The killer takes Mavis's appearance, and so now there's two Mavises on stage, both with glowing red eyes. And Kaido, in a panic, just stabs both of them. Just immediately starts stabbing them. And one of the Mavises' skin starts bubbling, and this reminds Kaido of how Clara's skin was able to control meat and flesh during the tournament hall. And he theorizes that she must be able to control her own, and so he stabs in the head the other Mavis, and it turns into a man. Turns into a man, he picked the right one, but before he can finish her off, Mavis grabs him by the throat and utters the words, "Worthless Hepatarian, pray forgiveness for hurting those in Akazushin's blood," and then crushes his throat, and his head flies off. And then she smiles and passes out, and everyone's kind of freaked out. And Lucas and Alice have to comfort Anna, who's sobbing in tears because she just saw another person get killed by whatever this state is. Another freaking person's done it from Wish Code 1. Obviously, no one's ever going to summon one. Anyway, they come back in the carriage and they leave town, unsure if they could have handled the situation better. And that's a small story arc contained in a single chapter. So now, next chapter, we skip back to Terra. Terra is still sitting at this table with the other members, trapped in this decision. She doesn't want to die so soon. How can she escape this? And so she comes up with a solution to say, "Give me 1 year." And then on top, she gets a little cocky, goes, "If I had to choose right now, Lord Jiro, I'd actually choose to pick your demon brand as the one I'd want." And Lord Jiro loves this. He thinks it's funny. He's a humorous guy. He likes funniness. He says you have 1 year to observe the demon brand. Because Terra made a point that, like, look, she doesn't know anything about the demon brand. She's only just returned. She wants to observe them for a year. So she goes along with Team Karna, so Karna and Morana, and the three of them head off to go try to look for the new demon brand, because Jiro says that it has found a new user. So Maddie's replacement is out there. So they leave. And Jiro sighs, left with just Toshi and Cordelica. And he makes a joke, a little like a passive-aggressive statement going, "It's really too bad that Saraki wasn't the one she chose. Since Saraki's asleep right now, it would have been an easy kill, and Terra could have taken over stomach usage." And Cordelica does not like that joke. He's pretty annoyed, and also, when Lord Jiro refers to Saraki, he uses the term "your beast," which gets on Cordelica's pet peeves. He does not like Saraki being treated like anything other than a normal girl, just because she eats things, like people, that doesn't define her. It's not a bright moment in her past, and he doesn't like that Lord Jiro holds it against her. Lord Jiro has a thing against her. We'll get into that in a second, about Lord Jiro's feelings towards Saraki. But Cordelica says, "I don't like you talking like that." Toshi right now does not feel comfortable being here either. He does not like seeing Cordelica get emotional. Cordelica is someone who's usually emotionless and doesn't get upset. He just lets things slip. So now, Toshi begins to monologue in his memory and think back to Cordelica before Cordelica was like this. A past when Cordelica was known better to him. So it was during the Great Battle of Jewel. We're back to the Great Battle of Jewel. It's a very important couple of months. So we have the final large, this is actually the final large battle of Jewel World, the climax of the war. At this point in the war, 4 demon brand are dead, 1 more to go that we know what happened. And Toshi was 1 year into having his demon brand. This day that we're remembering was a day after his mentor had been killed, and he was partnered up with Cordelica. The two of them, both having lost their partners, Toshi's mentor, Cordelica's partner, it isn't said if it's a mentor or not, they become really good friends, really close friends during this war. Cordelica was he describes him as a bright and cheery guy, always with a happy face on his expression. He looked out for others, quite often used his strength to move the wounded soldiers out of the battle zone. Okay, we do need to talk about his demon brand. Cordelica, we haven't actually gone into too much detail. It's introduced in this chapter. I missed it talking. Cordelica has one called puppet strings. He's able to shoot little strings out of his fingers, and he can control things the strings are touching. Not like you'd have to do it like a puppet, just if his strings are touching, you are now part of his body and he can control it. He can also sew his strings into things, shapes like stuffed animals and things. They'll come up in a second. Anyway, he used the strings to help soldiers. Okay, during this battle, Toshi and Cordelica were cornered at one point by someone. Toshi doesn't mention who it was. But Toshi opened a void and retreated, and Cordelica was right behind him. But Cordelica flinched because there was a wounded soldier nearby, and he tried to save him. Because of that, Cordelica is captured by the enemy. Lord Jiro assured Toshi after he got him, because Toshi's freaking out, that when this battle ended, both sides would exchange prisoners of war. So at this point, Lord Jiro believes, this is before Lord Jiro has the title of Lord, it's just when he's Jiro, he's the son of the current Lord, and he says to Toshi, because they're friends, I think prisoners of war will have to happen, because this war has to end. At this point in his life, Jiro believes that this war will end with a winner, and they'll switch. They're unaware that something is going to happen that makes a stalemate. And it's going to involve Jiro's currently living father, who's going to die, becoming the 5th demon brand to die. Okay, so Toshi's haunted that his friend might be dead. Toshi actually leaves his post and enters enemy lines searching for his friend inside prison camps. And so he enters a West End prison, so we're talking right around here. There's a prison on the west side, and he enters a West Side prison, and on the far line, so it's farther up. So the guards there are covered in blood marks and are unreacted, and so Toshi's like, that's kind of weird. He actually goes up and tries to attack one to take one out to make them lead him to see if Cordelica's there, and they're not living. They're dead, and they're being puppeted by strings. So, Cordelica. But Toshi gets more and more upset and confused the longer he goes in, because each and every prisoner, guard he finds have puppet strings and are dead. So it seems like Cordelica has already killed everyone in this building, which freaks him out. And then he enters a basement door, and it I have it on the screen to explain, because it's a previous screen, right? Cordelica hung from the wall naked, his arms chained up above him. He was covered in cuts and lashes, and his whole body was a reddish color from burns. All throughout him were stitch marks where they had closed poorly made wounds. It was clear they had been not treating him well. His smile was sewed into a frown, his eyes sewn shut to stop the crying. Which is, it's a moment. It's a moment. He finds his friend, he's been really tortured. He calls out Cordelica, and he's like, look, Cordelica, I'm here, it's me, it's Toshi. And he cuts his mouth open, and Cordelica's mouth turns into a really scary smile. And he takes Cordelica off the wall and releases him. And Cordelica immediately, in a feverish state, starts trying to introduce him to his friend, which are just all the corpses. And Cordelica says about how he prayed every night for Toshi to come save him. And he starts to break down crying the more he shows people of, this is so-and-so, and they boiled me, and this is the person who stabbed me when they got bored. And he collapses in his sobbing, and he goes, Toshi, they did things to me. I feel so dirty. Help me. And Toshi doesn't know what to do besides hug his best friend tightly as he sobs. And Toshi brings them home. Toshi saves him. No, after this, Cordelica locks himself up for 3 months, not coming out once. The wounds on his body begin to heal, thanks to their medical treatment, but the wounds in his head are not so easy to heal. Those wounds are going to take a lot longer to heal. Anyway, so outside, while Cordelica is in his room, the battle has come to an end. Something happens, and the battle ends. But there is no peace, just a postponement of battle to a future date. Both sides need time to heal and rebuild their forces and to foster hate towards the other. Okay, now we get a name for the person who died. His name, the one who Saraki will eat, his name is Hanamiri, and after biting into him, eating most of him, she makes a statement, I eat it all, so no one needs to beat me, I'm a great girl. And after that, Saraki is caged up in the basement, along with the monsters in the basement of the demon brand hunt. So she's in the basement. Okay, so in the dark, Saraki is screaming for help. She's a little girl, and she's screaming for help. For anyone, and these screams reach Cordelica's room. After hours of screaming, Cordelica sends a little cotton mouse made of his strings before her. And although scared at first, she starts to feel comforted. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, little mouse, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm scared too, okay? And they're gonna hit me since I was so bad. So even in this moment where most would assume they're gonna die, all that Saraki can worry about is that she's gonna get hit. Because there's a precedent in her mind that bad kids who get put in cages and get beat. Cordelica is moved by seeing this little girl and doesn't know why, but for the first time in 3 months he feels the need to protect something, and he decides he's going to protect her. And so the mice, he sends a bunch more mice made of cotton, and they break her free, and they circle around her and they lead her off to freedom to his room. And they come to her room, they introduce themselves as Cordelica, and he asks her for her name, and she says she doesn't have a name. Saraki doesn't have a name yet. Then she explains that her parents had gotten rid of her because they called her a mistake, so maybe that's her name. But Mr. Mesberg, which is the name of her caretaker previously, called her human trash. So she also guesses that could be her name. So it's either human trash or mistake. Now Cordelica is upset by that, and he just can't control himself. He grabs her and he hugs her tight and says to forget everything that man told you, because he was a liar. You are not garbage. And he declares her Saraki. He says that's her name. And he says he'll never let anyone hurt her again. And so she asks the question, can I be this happy? Is this because I ate that guy? Is it because I ate a good human that I can now be a good human? And this is probably an important moment where Cordelica needs to say the right thing. But Cordelica tells her that she is a good human and that she's right and she's here. He should have told her that it had nothing to do with eating good people, but now in Saraki's mind, she's only a good person because she ate a good person. So she became what she ate. This is, later affecting to what kind of, the demon brand that will come to her at some point. Now, right after this, that night, Saraki would be visited Pyakyo, and she'd receive her demon brand. Now, Cordelica is ecstatic. This is protection. Having a demon brand is a big deal, because this is protection for her. Right before, slave girl in the basement, now she's a demon brand holder. That's important. Jiro comes looking for her in the morning. He says, have you seen my beast? I was going to make her fight monsters. It was going to be cool. She ate Haramiru. And Cordelica says, yeah, I've got her. And despite eating Cordelica's friends with Haramiru, he says he doesn't care. He loves Saraki, and Jiro, who was friends with him as well, not so easy to forgive. Not ready to forgive Saraki for eating his friend right in front of his eyes. Luckily, Toshi steps in. And he vouches for Saraki. He says that she has a demon brand, and that gives her the right to try to defend herself and have a new life as a member of the demon brand. And Jiro really likes Toshi, so he accepts it and he says, okay. And now in present day, Toshi looks back on those days in many ways. He's happy his friend now is someone he can truly care for, just like he has Ricky and Akane, two people he cares for. Cordelica is Saraki. So he feels good that his best friend, they might have drifted apart a little, but they both have people they care about, and that's important. Okay, next chapter to come up is a chapter dedicated to Akane 07 and Akane 04. We'll get to why they have numbers. This is a chapter that literally just deals with Akane. It also has a little bit of lore, but it is mostly about Akane and talking about how the 9 Akanes function in their lives. Okay. So the chapter starts with us learning about the education inside the demon brand home. So the leader of a group is responsible for the education of the younglings. So our chapter starts, Toshi's educating Ricky in a school setting. It is obviously more of a game than a real school. Akane wants no part in it because she thinks it's weird. This is kind of like there's a sexual energy between Ricky and Toshi about this game, pretending to be student-teacher. Toshi, through the war, has become a little weird, and Ricky is definitely a child. An older child, but throughout the series later we'll talk more about the relationship between Toshi and Ricky, and how Ricky's accepting of Toshi's feelings he's pushing onto Ricky. it's a little strange. It's dealt with more. The point is, yes, there's a weird energy going on, and it's the kind of energy the Akanes don't like. They don't like playing games like this, so they leave. And luckily, there's some jobs the Akanes to do, but there are only 7 jobs today, and they do rock, paper, scissors, and the odd ones out are Akane number 4 and Akane number 7. And in the future, I'll make cards for each of them, but for now, we're just going to use the same card. Okay, so here's the thing about the Akanes. The Akanes use a numbering system to refer to themselves. They don't like numbers, they don't like it, they feel it dehumanizes them to use numbers, but for conversation's sake, they want to have ways to discriminate. So there's Akane 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And they gave themselves this numbers for talking and referring to themselves. Now, what about 1, 2, 3? Well, 1, 2, 3 are the no numbers. These are Akanes who only go by Akane, because they believe they're the real Akane. The other Akanes, 4 through 9, have agreed they decide they must be clones. So therefore, they're not the real Akane. But there are still 3 Akanes who believe they're the real Akanes, and they will not allow themselves to be given numbers. Because if you gave them numbers, someone has to be 1. And if somebody's 1, they're the real Akane. Because obviously 1 is real. So, the no number Akanes all believe they're real. They have no way to prove it. At one point, they asked Lord Jiro if they're allowed to give each other names. They wanted to give different names besides Akane. He said, no, part of you is being Akane, and working as a group, you're Akane. I don't want to learn 9 different names. You're all Akane, but you're okay to use numbers, I just won't learn them. Okay, now, about the Akanes. Akanes also want to separate themselves. Akane number 8 has dyed brown hair. All the others have green hair. Akane number 5 has an eye patch she wears for fun. And not to accuse of an actual eye patch for medical reasons. There is later reasons why she wears an eye patch. There's only one other person, Karna, who wears an eye patch. And Akane 5 wears an eye patch because she likes Karna. She has a thing for Karna. She looks up to Karna like a mentor. Despite being on a separate team, Akane 5 singly, only one of the Akanes who looks up to Karna. Besides that, there's Akane number 6 who wears her green hair in twin tails, just a different hairstyle. All the others wear their hair down. And then Akane 4 and 5 are different because they never stop touching each other. And not in a weird way, just like they're always holding hands or by each other's company, they never leave each other's side. These two are just very bonded to each other, and there's a little weird energy. That is about the most important part of this chapter till the ending. The rest of the chapter is dedicated to talking about 4 and 5's adventures of taking care of a frog in the basement. They enjoy frogs and doing things together. It is more talking about just characterizing Akane as a person, and the type of thing a more less dominant Akanes do. Most Akane appearances are pretty rough. 4 and 7 are not so rough. They're kind of sweet and act a little younger than they really are, and they take care of frog in this. And then after that adventure, at the end of the chapter, we jump to Cordelica and Sarki, and we see Sarki is being trained against one of Cordelica's puppets. This puppet is a puppet bear. Again, another appearance of a bear. And Cordelica is using this puppet bear, and it is made with tools to fight Sarki. It is made to fight her, like with all kinds of tricks. And it barely beats Sarki, and Sarki has a laugh. She says, one day I'm going to defeat you, bear, but not today. So they discuss a couple ideas. Sarki and Cordelica are always having these crazy ideas, but ideas they use brands for. And the chapter ends with Sarki sharing an idea that will become very important way later towards the Holy Castle Attack arc, I believe, is when the semi-last arc, I believe, is when this idea really bears fruit, but it does appear a little in the 3rd arc, Fall of Hyperion, which is, she asked this question to Cordelica, what do you think? What she was thinking is, if she ate someone's brain, then put it in another person without some memories, therefore erasing someone's memories, could she control a person in that way? Ah, shoot. That is confusing for you, probably because we did not mention what Saraki's brand does. I apologize, I should have put that earlier. That should be weird. Okay, Saraki, her brand, stomach storage. Anything she eats, she can recreate. And it doesn't have to be in one piece. If you take a vase, shatter it into glass shards, and eat it, you can now create an entire vase by opening your mouth, and it will appear in front of your mouth. It doesn't come out of your mouth, it appears in front of it. Any damage you sustain while swallowing something, as long as you can eat an entire thing, it will not hurt you. As long as your whole sole purpose of doing that, of eating that thing, was so it could be for your brain. So things like Saraki will eat gas. She later in the series does a lot of things where she eats gas, like poisonous gas, so that she can now create poison gas. She can create spears. Previously, she created that pillow for that pillow fight. Sarky knew that. So Sarky and Kordelica have an important discussion where Sarky wonders if she ate a brain and recreated it without certain memories, would that person work? Could you make a person with only some memories like that? And this bears the fruit to a line of thinking that will lead to later plans by Sarky and Kordelica. Alright, we go back to Kaido, Mavis, and the gang. They've been traveling for a week since we last saw them, and they have finally made it to a large towering wall. Impossible to see where it ends. So this would be the wall that is right here, across, separating the two nations. It's right there. They can't see it. They travel along it until they finally find a small building and a gate. And Kaido and Mavis agree to stay in the cart because Kaido looks like a skeleton and Mavis looks like an academic. Akazushinmian. Sorry. Tripping on my words. Akazushinmian. They stay. Lucas, Anne, and secretly Red Alice in her pocket go inside and they ask the guard, how can we get to the other side? And the guard goes, man, I've never seen someone have to go to the other side. Let me check the book. And he's got a huge book that references. And he finds the page and says, in case of someone trying to go across the border, check page 64. Goes to page 64. And the book says, in the case of someone asking to have the gate open, the correct response is important. The answer is no. Do not open the gate. Tell the visitor to leave and make sure they head away from the gate. So the book, for traveling across this border, literally says, no Heptarians can go to the other side. Do not let them go across. It's a trick. The guard says he can't make decisions. Even if they try to bribe him, which they do, he says the book decides the decisions, not him. And they're like, well, okay, but let's say the book said to open the gate. Could you open the gate? And the guard says, yeah, I can open the gate. So they return to the wagon to talk to Kaido and Mavis and say, look, we only saw one guard. I think the 5 of us can take him. Even if you don't count Alice, it's still 4-on-1. We could do it. Kaido says he has a different idea. And Kaido climbs outside and begins to use a training method he'd come up with, where he begins to create a giant skeleton around his body, increasing his bones until they're a giant side, and creating a centipede of bones. And with the ribcage, grabs onto the wagon and begins to pick it up inside the ribcage and crawl around in his crazy centipede form. As crawling around, the loud sounds of him trying to climb up the wall. He's trying to climb it and pull the whole cart over the gate. Alerts the guard. The guard checks the book. The book says, in case of someone having to break over the wall, you have to release the Letzi Golem. The Letzi Golem is a wish card. It is a giant golem made of a stone called Letzi. Letzi isn't very important. It is just another rock found in Rainobu. Like the jewels of the Jewel War, but it is not as valuable, but apparently it appears in a wish card. Now this giant golem starts chasing them, and they immediately, joking around, Alice throws a bunch of furniture. Alice has them throw out furniture from inside the cart. They lose it all. All the furnishings of their nice cart and their wagon carriage thing, gone. The golem starts throwing boulders at Kaido's leg, trying to knock him off the wall. But Kaido is beginning to get a grip, and he starts climbing up the wall. And the golem starts climbing up the wall. But Lucas is able to get his fire rope, his weapon, around the golem and throw him down the wall. And so now the golem is crashing to the ground. And they make it to the top of the wall, and they've escaped. But the golems are coming quick up the wall. And from the top of the wall, they can see on the other side of the wall, it is a poorer, dirtier garbage heap of a town. Doesn't look like a good town. They jump on into the garbage to break their fall, leaving the golems behind. No longer touching the wall, the golems return. They return to their place of rest. They no longer are needed. They're only there to protect the wall. Okay, we jump back to Terra. Terra, Marana, and Karna walk through the alleyway of a small town near the border. Craziness, it's right there. Where's Kaido? Right there. They're the same town, but we'll get to them meeting. So, same town. Terra grows tired of searching without any results for this person who's supposed to have the demon brand. There are two options when a demon brand, and they explain, when you get a demon brand, you can either report to the demon brand that you've got one, like the group, or you can hide the demon brand. And they think whoever's gotten the trained demon brand is hiding it. Terra asks, do they really need to find the demon brand user? Like, if they're hiding, do we really have to find them? And they go, yeah, you do have to find them because we all have a duty to serve when you're called by the demon brand. And they've got to, there's no choice, they have to find him. And then Morana's like, you probably, Karma, just want to find him so Jiro will praise you. Because you want Jiro's praise for doing good work. And they take a break, and they sit down, and Terra in a main conversation says, "Hey, Marana, Karna, why did you guys choose to accept your demon brands?" And Karna will not have time to explain her story, but we're going to get on Marana's story. Marana explains that 5 years ago, he was an orphan with his little sister, and they lived on the poor side of the streets. And so they're doing odd jobs enough stuff to make gold for food. They're just getting by. They talked about their dreams of living a rich life on the other side of the wall. They wanted to leave Akazushimiya and find riches in a foreign land. And they've heard of cafeteria and heard about the magical wish card. If they can only get a wish card, their lives could be changed, and maybe they could finally be happy. Because they're tired of being poor and unhappy. So they want that. But things get crazy when Marana's sister begins ill. And it's an illness that the people of the town have no idea how to cure. And there are no help to them because they're poor street rats. And so, on her deathbed, Marana runs to the wall, thinking of all the dreams he's heard, about the wish cards that can cure all illness and do all these magical things. He goes to the wall and he sees the guards on the other side and he begs them, "Please, please help me." And they say, "Bring your sister to the wall and we'll help you." And so he brings her, he runs. It's probably worse for her health, but he brings her to the wall. And he sits her down and he goes, "Please, give me a wish card that can help her." And they hand him a wish card and they go, "Here, use this wish card, it'll help you." And Marana's like tears running down his face. He starts trying to use it. Activate, activate, activate. It doesn't work. He's Akazushimi in blood. He can't use a wish card. And the guards laugh at him. And if that wasn't enough, they refuse to act him. And they actually, the guards, once they're done laughing at him, telling him his tainted blood could never use a wish card, which starts to make Marana cry. But they're not done yet. After getting tired of watching Marana cry, they kill his sister. They do it for fun, they're bored, they kill a little poor girl. Marana, small child, cannot stop them. He had no power of wish cards versus their wish cards, there's nothing you could do. He was just a child, and he was able to escape attack by letting them while they focused their attack on his little sister. And so, at this point in the story, Tara's pretty upset. She's like, "That's horrible, Heptarians were gross. You literally asked for help, and these people who were supposed to be serving their country murdered a little girl. For no reason. You were no threat to them. For some reason they did it just for fun." And Marana's like, "I don't know." So now, 2 years after that event, when he was 16, when Marana was 16, Piaggio is there, and he gives him a wish card that, in a cruel, ironic turn of fate, gives him a wish card that at the cost of 99 lives can bring a person back to life. And he's overjoyed that he can finally bring back his sister. And he asks Lord Gio, "Can I bring my sister back to life?" He's asking permission. He's going to do it anyway, but he's hoping for permission. Lord Gio says, "If you will continue to work in the lab in the basement and continue a tradition of your card's people that serve my people by creating me monsters, then yes." And he agrees. And he explains that the last previous users of his demon brain have had this fond thing where they create monsters for Jiro to fight because Jiro likes monsters. Maybe they use them in the army, we don't know. Anyway, Marana starts working hard to harvest the souls he needs to bring his dead sister back to life. And Tara, at this point in the story, interrupts. Right as Marana says, "I got all the souls," Tara interrupts. She goes, "Oh, I'm happy it's a happy ending, because I've seen Kaido. Kaido came back to life, you brought him back to life. So your sister must be alive, where is she?" And that's when Marana reveals that when he did have his sister back, there was something off about her. And he explains that though she acts like his sister, she looks like his sister, she feels like his sister, and she has memories of his sister, there's something off about him. The clear truth is, this is a person who is not his sister. Deep down, he understands that this is just another person who looks and thinks they're his sister. And they're complete copies, but it's a complete new person, which confuses, Tara's confused. She's worried about Kaido. She's like, "What happened to Kaido?" He explains Kaido is also a copy of the original Kaido, whose sense of self is based around the memories of the original one. And Tara doesn't understand. She's almost sad, because she cares about Kaido, but only because Clara cares about Kaido. Tara doesn't even know her. But he says an easier way to explain is that his demon brand is unable to bring back the soul of the original person. When he sacrifices 99 people to create a new soul, to inhabit the body of the original person, the new soul is a copy of the original person. So it has their memories, but it's never really a full copy. Which after that deep moment, Karna jokes that Marana is a poor human printer. He's just a printer, he just copies and makes copies of souls. But the real soul went somewhere else. He doesn't know. He doesn't hold on to the souls of people he revives. Unlike the 99 souls he holds on to inside him, those souls are his. He cannot control the souls of the people he revives. He can only create a new one, unless he's got that soul in his possession. but he can't just revive a random death. So because he couldn't bring her back. And the same with Kaido, he just didn't bring Kaido back. It is easier to just create a new soul. And so, in a way, Kaido is not Kaido. He is a second Kaido who thinks he's Kaido, but he's not really Kaido. The real Kaido died there. And Kaido's life is going to be drastically affected when he learns that. When he learns that he's not really Kaido, that he's a copy of Kaido, and that it really gives him a lot to think about. It happens a lot more towards the end of the 3-year arc into Shrine Man arc, is when he really starts dealing with that, and doesn't really get revolved until Holy Castle Attack to Composer of Man, where he really comes to peace with that scary information. Morana tries to explain more. He ponders over his own body. Morana points out his fighting strategy is letting people slice his limbs off and then controlling his limbs separately. But when he revives those limbs, are those limbs really his? Because he's connected them to his body with another connection. Surely he's revived body parts that no one belonged to him at that point. And then he talks about how, do you know how long it takes to replace a cell? 7 to 10 years, the entire body is cells replaced. So isn't that a new person in the same way? So Morana has a lot of deep thought about if he's creating new souls or is he bringing people back to life. Because if every cell in your body replaces every 7 to 10 years, isn't that the same thing he's doing? Just putting a soul that's different? It is a lot, and Morana shares that he's actually pretty scared of that. But that's the kind of thing that keeps him up at night, wondering if he's really Morana or if he's another person. Kara comforts him and says, look, no matter what, you'll always be my partner. Morana or not, you're my partner, and that matters. And that makes Morana feel good. Okay, back to Kaido. Kaido and gang hide the wagon, because they don't want people to see the wagon, and they enter the town for information on the Demon Brand. Kaido uses that wish card that was included in that letter to change his face to look human again. They didn't think of that till now, but now they did. So, Anna gives that suggestion. He looks human now. Karna, Morana, Terra are currently in the town, searching for the user of 168. After grabbing some food, they get some food, Alice starts to sniff out, smell out a Demon Brand. There's a Demon Brand somewhere in this town. He's somewhere in here. Shouldn't realize I didn't make a card for him. Alright, so Kaido says he's in support of killing whoever it is. He wants Clara back, but he also wants to defeat the evil brand. He is entering into a point in his life where he's going from a pacifist, watching this all happen and trying to protect the ones he loves, to he actually wants to actively defeat this evil after they've taken his body from him and beat him up so many times. He wants to be a hero. He thinks the strong need to protect the weak, he's the strong. And so they follow this trail and they end up at an abandoned church. I'm still going to grab a new card because I didn't make one for the next character. Okay, so they end up at a church, and it's a big church, but it's not any church, it's a Piacio church, a church of Piacio. And so Kaido asks, hey, why would Akazushimians need a church, Piacio, if, Hesperians are the only one who pray to Piacio? So why would there be a church in Akazushimiya? That's kind of weird. We'll go into that later. And they find a little boy with black hair, with baggy clothing, who had a green eye, and bandage over his nose, and he looks like he's got cuts on his cheek. And they call out to him and they ask if he's a Demon Brand. And he says, yes, Demon Brand, yes, can you help me? Piacio's cursed me. And he mistakes them for the Demon Brand members who've come to take him away. And he tells them that his name is Hesper. And Hesper does not want to be a Demon Brand. He is, let me send him right here. Okay, so Hesper. Hesper does not want to be a Demon Brand. He says that it is a noble profession. He respects the Demon Brand for what they do for the country, but it's not his calling. He snivels, and Kaido and Mavis and Lucas and Anna and Ralph say, we're not the Demon Brand, we're actually here to kill the Demon Brand. And Hesper just kind of snivels and curls up and prepares to die. And Kaido, in this act of kind of be cool, kind of like one of the first cool things he's really done, yells at him and says to be a man, because the previous user, he saw the death of Maddie, and Maddie was a guy who went down to the end. Even being a young boy at what, like 11? 11-year-old boy, he fought and used that Demon Brand in ways Kaido thinks he never could have. That was a true man, a true warrior, and he is not going to kill Hesper if Hesper is going to snivel around like a baby. So, therefore, get up and fight me. And they actually get a fight. Train starts smashing through the building. Hesper is, shakily figuring out how to use his ability, and Hesper actually almost hits Kaido. Kaido dodges and is about to go in, actually take this fight seriously when Karna appears. Karna heard the commotion and gets between them. And Murata is to her side, and Terra appears and pulls Hesper to the side, motioning him away. Now, this is it. This is Kaido's first time seeing Terra since then. So he's like, oh my gosh, it's you, Terra. He recognizes Terra as Clara. So he says, Clara, is that you? You look different, but it is you. Terra doesn't know how to feel. In this moment, she sees Kaido. This is a person who matters to Clara, not a person who really matters to Terra. So she's conflicted. But her feelings are decided for when Mavis runs up to Kaido, hugs him from the back, and says, Kaido, I'm afraid, I'm scared, let's run from here right now, we can fight another time, I can't bear to see you get hurt. And this upsets Terra to no end, even in a way she doesn't understand. Because the Clara part of her is so upset, and all she can say is, so you created a new slave already, in a disappointed tone. Kaido has replaced her already. And it's like, not good. Okay. So Kaido's like, look, it's not like that. Maybe this is a friend. I came all the way to rescue Clara. I came to kill the Demon Brand and save you. He says he's gonna kill the Demon Brand. Again, Terra's starting to see the Demon Brand might not be as bad as she thought. So that upsets her too. So she says, sorry, Kaido, but Clara is dead. She died when the slave mark was removed. My name is Terra, and I think you should remember it. 1 year, and then, get a little cocky. She goes, in 1 year, I'm gonna be a Demon Brand. So if you're gonna kill all the Demon Brand, you have to kill me. And she immediately regrets saying that, because she doesn't want to fight Kaido, but she's upset that Kaido's replaced her, and also that he's just so uneducated that he's gonna kill people. And Karna and Kaido break into a fight. Kaido's enraged to see someone he cares about, Clara, being twisted, and he believes it must be some kind of mind control by the Demon Brand. Karna is taking a total advantage of this and starts saying things like, I mean, you enslaved her with a wish card, and yet you call yourself a friend? Just getting her real angry. Now, Lucas joins into the fight and is actually able to get a red whip, his red rope around Karna's neck, pulling her down. And this this is Lucas's big. Lucas attacks Karna, he gets a hit on her, he knocks her to the ground. This is him finally standing up to protect his loved ones. No longer is he going to let Kaido and other people fight for him. He's going to stand up. And this royally fails because immediately Karna charges at him and stabs him in the side, aiming for his heart, but she misses as Kaido once again strikes her. Lucas drops to his knees, blood pouring from his wound, and Anna runs over and begins weeping again. Another classic Anna moment of being scared. Anna cannot believe she's about to lose another person. It's kind of crazy. Kaido actually lands a stab mark on Karna. One of his bones stabs into her leg, injuring her. Murata is upset and jumps in to protect Karna and says that you can do it again, but know every scratch you put on Karna, another person I'll take from you. So Murata's making some big claims. And Murata versus Kaido is stopped when Kaido's head is slammed by a surprise attack from Terra. Terra comes up from behind him with a bat and hits him. Murata then suddenly charges at Lucas, who's bleeding out. Anna blocks him, but fails to fully block him, and Murata gets a good hit on Lucas, stabs him in the neck. Lucas is very much not going to make it. Anna hugs Lucas's head. She says, please, Lucas, stay with me. I can't lose you too. Lucas held a hand up, put it on Anna's cheek, and he says, I'm sorry. I think about my end. It was a stupid end, really. I'm sorry for you having such a stupid brother. And he looks at her and he tells her, promise me you will survive. Just go home. If you survive, just go home. If you live through this fight, go home. Okay? And he says, lying here, only now have I really realized truly how dumb revenge is. There is no point in being brave and protecting people if it means people have to die. Revenge is stupid. No one in this fight had to die. We should all just go home and live our lives. It's really pacifist of him to say, but it really upsets Anna because she felt like this whole thing was revenge for Ella. She resonated with this whole getting revenge for Ella. She says, no, revenge isn't pointless. There's value to it. But Lucas dies, and his final words are telling her revenge has no meaning. Karna, injured, is kind of freaked out because she doesn't usually get injured. This is pretty rare, and she's also pretty bored of this fight. She has nothing to gain from it. Karna doesn't want to fight in battle. She doesn't feel she's going to win or have fun in. Kaido's not that interested in Kaido's. Murata agrees he's cool with retreating. So the two of them are like, let's retreat. But Kaido's really enraged and says, you aren't escaping, you're discussing demons. So he cries out and he shoots ribs out. And he's really going from a level 5 attack to a level 12. He's really getting into this. And she's barely able to miss this next attack. So Kaido's speeding up. His speeds are increasing. And Karna's like, look, Marana uses that brain of yours to come up with a plan. Marana asks her to throw Mavis towards him. So Marana gets at Lucas's corpse as she grabs his corpse from Anna, kicks Anna across the room, and gets the corpse of Lucas. While Karna gets at Mavis, the weak little girl, weak woman, and they throw. First, Marana reaches into his pocket and pulls out the corpses of some dead spiders he had on him and pours them into Lucas's mouth before reviving him, wondering out loud, what kind of creature will you become? And revives him thanks to Marana's bath. So he's fused the two of them. And at the same time, Mavis is thrown at Kaido. No, she's thrown at the corpse of Lucas. So now this creature that Lucas's body has been turned into is looming down over Mavis, and it's gonna kill her. And at the same time, Kaido has to turn away from Karna fighting the two of them, chasing Marana and Karna to keep him from escaping, so he can go fight Lucas. He has to fight Lucas, because Lucas, and we'll officially take him off the board, because Lucas is dead. He's a monster now. They've turned his corpse into some kind of spider monster. So he's dead. So he has to go fight Lucas and protect Mavis. And at the same time, Terra is grabbing Hesper, and she's running through the void, and she gets through the void, she makes the void, drops them through, Marana jumps in after us, the void closes, and it leaves Kaido, Mavis, Anna alone with the now revived Lucas. Okay, and that is about the end of Journey for Clara. This would be one more chapter, ties up, connecting, 27 connects this to Fall of Heptaptera, but that is the end of this arc. So join me in the next part where we'll be going over the next part.